happening this week in Fulton. It all comes down to this: Election 2020. Record-breaking early voting in the county is over, and now in-person voting, absentee ballots, and the final count. Fulton's chairman joins us to talk about what's on the line given the board's $35 million election process investment. Also, Fulton's Board of Health director says winter is coming for Fulton County. She'll explain what that means regarding COVID-19 and the flu season. And don't forget about that Fulton County tax bill. Our important reminder is just ahead. Those stories, plus more on this special edition of Fulton Today that starts right now. Hi, everybody, and welcome. Yes, it all comes down to this week. Months of preparing, several weeks of early voting, hundreds of poll workers trained, and millions of dollars invested by the county. And yes, even a pandemic to deal with, which has led to Election 2020. A record number of Fulton County voters cast their ballots during the early voting period. And when it's all said and done, Fulton County election officials say they would have seen a number of firsts during this election cycle. Fulton County Chairman Rob Pitts joins us again. Sir, welcome back.
Great to be with you again.
Well, it's a busy week for the election department. Several county departments, additional hired workers, and even volunteers, all hands on deck for this one.
That's correct. I mean, listen, we learned a lot going back to June when we had problems and challenges. But I always say, though, we were not the only county of the 159 in the state of Georgia to have challenges, but we learned. One of there's several challenges that we faced on June that we were aware of and wanted to make sure that we did not face those same challenges going forward. First of all, polling places. The problem that we had with polling places due to the virus, minutes before, days before election was to begin back in June, places that had agreed to let us use their facilities as polling places decided that we could not. So we had to scramble around to find new places. Number two, poll workers. 6 of 7 poll workers who had agreed to serve as poll workers on election day back in June at the last minute backed out. Again, we had to scramble around to find replacements. So we took those two situations in particular because we're responsible for those. That's our responsibility. So getting ready for November, we had some 6,000 people. Our corporate community, nonprofit community, all stepped up to help, volunteered their employees, etc., so that some 6,000 people signed up to be poll workers.
And sir, a number of safety protocols in place, especially after the COVID cluster at the election warehouse and the public safety concerns before and after Election Day.
So we have an internal task force that's been working on security because what we're hearing is that no matter which side wins, there's a possibility, and I want to underscore this, possibility of some civil distress or unrest. So we've been meeting with Homeland Security, FBI, GBI, State Patrol, local law enforcement to make sure that we have a plan. We also have a uniformed police officer at each of the 255 polling places. So we are prepared, just in the unlikely event, but we need to be prepared. The worst thing is to not be prepared and have something happen. With respect to ongoing health and safety concerns, when we were faced with the situation of the number of positive tests at our elections warehouse, we didn't panic again because we know these things are all possible. What we did, we immediately found a place, in this case, the Georgia World Congress Center, rented space there where we were able to move all of our election equipment, all of the big machines that you'll be voting on, all of the paper supplies, all of that moved to the Georgia World Congress Center. We brought in new employees to train them so that we didn't miss a beat.
And Mr. Chairman, take a look back, if you will, at the early voting period. This was pretty remarkable in the county.
You know, this is, by all accounts, going to be the largest turnout in the history of elections, nationally and also here in Fulton County. And in anticipation of that, we've hired all of these extra workers. We have gotten the private sector, the nonprofit sector to help with us. And in terms of polling locations, we've added, not only have we added early voting locations, and some significant ones at that, in particular, what I call Election Central State Farm Arena, where we have 300 places to vote there. Easy access to Georgia International Convention Center, High Museum, Fox Theater, Dad's Garage, Buckhead Theater, places where people have not gone to vote in the past, but because of corporate community, nonprofit community stepping up to help us, we're now providing an experience. Our whole mindset during this whole time was, what can we do to make voting easy and accessible to the citizens of Fulton County who choose to vote? So now, the other thing that we've done here in Fulton County that no other county has done, we bought 2 mobile voting vehicles that will be going from one end of the county to the other end of the county, so that there will be really no excuse. You got the early voting locations, expanded number, and those who choose to vote absentee. If you're concerned about the Postal Service and don't want to trust that, you can go to our drop boxes. We have those located strategically throughout the county. So from the drop boxes to the number of early voting locations that we have, to the mobile vans that we have, or 2 big buses that we have, there is no excuse for someone who wants to vote not to vote. This State Farm Arena, that has gotten so much coverage. So it was June 18th, as a matter of fact, when Steve Coonan, CEO of the Atlanta Hawks, called me, my friend, and he said, got an idea. I said, what is it? So we talked about it for about 2 minutes. I said, I'll call you back in about 5. I called him back in 3, and 5 minutes later, we had a deal to partner with the Atlanta Hawks. They were dark, meaning the Hawks were not in the playoffs. The facility was right there, right in the heart of Fulton County, so which has become now the largest polling precinct in the state of Georgia, and I think, based upon my research, the largest one in the country. And I can tell you this, when Steve and I entered into that agreement, that partnership, I had no earthly idea that that would have meant what it has meant to not only Fulton County, but statewide and even nationally. The moment we did it, the moment it became public, NBA, professional basketball teams in other cities, well, why can't we be like Fulton County, Georgia, and Atlanta Hawks? And several of them have come on. Not only professional basketball, but also football teams in these various cities. It's, well, we want to do what Fulton County and the Atlanta Hawks are doing in Fulton County. So it has spread. The other thing that about this, because of the buy-in of the Atlanta Hawks, the ownership, the management, Coach Pierce, and the players, even the players, Trey Young in particular, other NBA players, now if you turn on the game, they're all talking about voting. I would venture to say probably 75% of them weren't even registered before this year, probably never even voted. But I would venture to say that some 90% plus of them are now registered to vote and plan to vote and are active in their respective communities in terms of going out, talking to their fans and young people in particular about the importance of getting involved this year in particular.
And your final thoughts on this $35 million investment made by the board for this 2020 election. Was it worth it?
Well worth it. I mean, it seems like a huge number, but one of the responsibilities of Fulton County is elections, and that's probably one of the more important things that we do. So putting the resources in place from the point of view of the polling places, from the point of view of the poll workers, the media campaign that we've been involved in, all of these things have led to encouraging our citizens to vote, reminding them the importance of voting, letting them know what we're doing here at Fulton County to ensure that they have that it's easy for them to vote and they have a pleasant voting experience. So I think that we will have a blueprint now for going forward. And this blueprint, I've been talking about this from day one. When we started working on the elections in with COVID in the background as sort of the elephant in the room, we have seen what needs to happen, and I think that others are looking to Fulton County now as a leader in how to conduct an election. In fact, if you notice, early on, we of the 159 counties in Georgia, Fulton County is the largest, so when there were problems back in June, everybody, local media, national media, international media, pointing their fingers at Fulton County, although what happened we had no control over. But because of that, though, we're moving forward now, and others are looking at how we have come from where we were back in June to now, I think, being the poster child for how to conduct a successful election. So again, to answer your question, well worth it.
Fulton County Chairman Rob Pitts, thanks as always, sir, for stopping by.
Anytime. Thank you so much.
Now, our election coverage continues now with FGTV's Douglas Bell. Now, you've got a reminder about what folks need to know before they go to the polls.
Shania, back in September, the Fulton County Board of Registration and Elections announced changes to several polling places for the general election. In fact, it's around 91 changes of the 255 polling sites for Election Day.
And Douglas, how were people notified about these changes? And if they want to be sure, where can they go?
Registered voters were notified of those changes through the mail. However, everyone can still check the Georgia My Voter page.
And why were these changes necessary, Douglas?
Shania, the changes were needed for two main reasons. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the county lost many polling places before the June primary, which had just 164 locations. So the county added polling places to reduce the number of voters assigned per poll and to reduce lines and wait times on Election Day.
So the bottom line really is know before you go.
That really is the bottom line. Despite a really successful early voting period, long lines are expected, and not all of the early voting locations will be polling sites. So Fulton wants everyone to be in the right place Election Day.
Very good point, Douglas. Election Day is not the day to go to those mega sites of State Farm Arena, the GICC, or the High Museum. Voters must go to their assigned precincts. Again, Douglas Bell, thanks for your reporting. Now, Georgia's Secretary of State and every election office in the state is asking for all voters to be patient when it comes to the final tally of votes. In Fulton County, you can visit the county's website and, of course, the Secretary of State's website. Still to come, Fulton's Board of Health Director with a stern message about this winter. Dr. Paxton is next. Well, the other big story for Fulton County, the pandemic, and now the concerns about this particular flu season. Fulton's Board of Commissioners got an update on what should be expected this winter by the Board of Health Director. And now, Dr. Lynn Paxton joins us to share with us the very same. Doctor, welcome back.
Yeah, thanks very much for inviting me.
So you made an expression to the board regarding the next phase of COVID. What was that phrase? And tell everyone what that phrase means.
Well, as you appropriately point out, I use the phrase winter is coming, which all of those who are also TV addicts of the TV show Game of Thrones will recognize. In that show, it was a warning that eventually a long winter was arriving and that no one knew when it would start, nor how long it would last. The winter is coming reference is appropriate because winter literally is coming, and with the cold weather, people spend more time indoors and in close contact with others, thereby increasing the chances of transmitting infection. And it's also the start of the traditional cold and flu season.
So, Doctor, what needs to happen to prepare for winter?
We are in the midst of a 1 in 100 years pandemic that is wreaking havoc worldwide, and we're clearly experiencing a surge in infections in Georgia and across the United States. First and foremost, please practice social distancing and wear a mask whenever you're out in public. Wash your hands and try not to touch your face. And then take advantage of the free COVID-19 testing that's available at the numerous testing sites that we've been set up throughout Fulton County. You should also take advantage of the free seasonal flu vaccinations that we're now offering at the Fulton County COVID testing sites.
And how is testing going for COVID and vaccines going for the flu?
Well, the testing, the COVID testing, we've done a lot since the beginning of the epidemic here in Fulton County. We're up to nearly a quarter million tests performed in Fulton County to date, which represents about a quarter of all the tests done throughout Georgia. So we've been doing pretty well with that. However, I'm always encouraging people to get a test. If you've been out in a situation, if you're having any symptoms at all, please go get a test. If you've been in a situation where you've been, for example, around people who haven't been wearing a mask, who haven't been socially distancing, please consider getting a test. So far, the flu vaccinations seem to be going well, but we just recently started those. So I don't have any data to give to you. I can just say anecdotally, we've seen people showing up to get these tests. And so to get these vaccinations. And so I'm really encouraging people to please do that. Please come and get this of all years is the year for you to get your seasonal flu vaccination.
Doctor, wrap it up for me. Let me get your final thoughts.
Well, I have no problem with repeating myself, so I'm just going to say, if we all work together, if everybody will take this as a responsibility to wear a mask, socially distance, wash your hands, that we can actually have an impact on this epidemic even before a vaccine against COVID is available. But we all have to work together. We have to take responsibility for ourselves and for protecting others around us. So please wear a mask, social distance, wash your hands, and please take this very seriously.
Dr. Lynn Paxton, please stay safe. We need your expertise at a time like this.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Now, to check out flu vaccines and COVID testing opportunities through the Board of Health, just visit that department's website. And when we return, find out why this piece of machinery is critical to keeping jurors safe who respond to jury service during a pandemic. Stay with us. Well, by now, a number of Fulton County residents have received a summons for grand jury service, and many more will be receiving notification for regular jury service. We recently shared with you some of the message from Fulton County Superior Court Judge Christopher Brasher about the measures they have taken to keep jurors safe. Let's take a listen.
During these uncertain times, your justice system wants to assure you that your safety as a Fulton County juror is our priority. It's why we've taken so many new precautions to protect your health and safety from the moment you arrive on Fulton County government property. From the ride on the shuttle buses at our free parking lots, to the security screening inside the Fulton Courthouse, the jury check-in area, the restrooms, and the courtrooms. Every part of your jury service experience has been carefully planned to keep you safe.
Now, in addition to those measures, Fulton County's Dream Team has also made some modifications to the air filtration system. Joe Davis is the Deputy Director of the Department of Real Estate and Asset Management. Sir, good to see you again.
Thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
So we've already seen some of the protocols your team has taken with your transportation division and the shuttle service. You want to first address that?
Yes, we have in Fulton County the greatest concern for not only our staff but also the citizens that use our various shuttle services. And in order to combat the spread of the virus that causes COVID-19, we have added additional buses to our fleet in order to facilitate social distancing. Because of the fewer number of riders that are actually able to ride on any one bus, we added multiple buses to the fleet so that we can have more routes and actually transport the same number of people safely. In addition to that, we have also implemented a program of sanitization of all our shuttles, whereby after a shuttle completes all its rounds after leaving the shuttle lot, once it arrives back at the lot, we go through a sanitization process in which the entire bus is not only sprayed down with an EPA-approved disinfectant, it's also wiped down all the high-frequency touch points, door handles, armrests, seat backs, the actual seats themselves. So we've taken as many precautions as are humanly possible to ensure that our citizens and employees are in a safe environment as it relates to the confined space of a shuttle bus.
So let's talk about that air filtration system modifications. What all have you done?
So in the anticipation of staff and citizens returning to our facilities, we've done two principal things as it relates to HVAC and the air filtration. Number one, taking into consideration guidelines from the American Society of Heating, Refrigeration, and Air Conditioning Engineers, we have maximized the introduction of outside air into our HVAC ductwork system. This will have the impact of reducing the volume of potentially contaminated air being recirculated back into the occupant spaces. So we feel that this was the first major step forward in reducing the risk of exposure through the air system to our building occupants and citizens. Secondly, our department has also embarked upon changing out all our existing MERV 8 air conditioning filters with higher rated MERV 11 and MERV 13 filters. This will have the impact of filtering out, obviously, the air itself, but also potentially capturing as much of the virus in the filter media as humanly possible. This will not only give people a cleaner air to breathe in our buildings, but also a higher degree of air quality.
And sir, how will this impact people in the courthouse?
We're currently in an extraordinary time in American history, indeed world history. And Fulton County leadership has taken it very seriously, the obligation to protect both our staff and the citizens that use our various buildings. We're always looking for ways to improve our efforts to fight the spread of COVID-19. As you've already heard, we're introducing higher rated filters, we're introducing higher volumes of outside air, we're always researching new techniques to improve the overall air quality in our facilities, as well as we have a major sanitation program that sanitizes areas using chemicals approved by the EPA and the CDC to kill the virus that causes COVID-19.
And what about the other county facilities? Any changes there?
So we're generally taking the same approach throughout the county in our facility portfolio. In all our air conditioning systems throughout the county, we have the ability to maximize the use of outside air, which will give the building the ability to have less of an opportunity for recirculated and potentially contaminated air being reintroduced into the tenant spaces. Also, we are changing out all our filters from MERV 8s to MERV 11s that will filter out the air at an even higher degree than what we've been doing previously. This will not only provide higher air quality, but will also potentially capture any virus that's been aerosolized in the air.
And let me get your final thoughts.
It is an ongoing effort, a never-ending effort, whereby we are looking for new ways to help protect our staff and citizens, and we're going to continue to do so moving forward.
Again, so good to see you. Thanks for your time, and please stay safe.
No, thank you again for having me today. We truly want to serve the citizens and staff of Fulton County, and we just want to encourage everyone to continue to stay safe, continue to wear your PPE, continue to socially distance, and we will beat this thing called COVID-19. Thank you.
Now, if you have gotten your jury summons, here's what you are required to do next. Complete the online juror questionnaire before you come to court. Be sure to review the COVID-19 screening questions included with your summons as soon as possible. And if at any time you answer yes to the COVID-19 screening questions, please contact the jury division immediately. And still ahead, the clock is ticking to pay that tax bill for Fulton County residents and has passed for Atlanta residents. Details just ahead. Well, the deadline for Atlanta residents to pay their property tax is now passed. It was October 30th, but the due date for Fulton County, November 15th. Fulton's tax commissioner and his team worked around the clock to get those bills out in the midst of a pandemic. Getting the bills out proved critical because the 2 school districts, several cities, Fulton County government, tax allocation districts, community improvement districts all derive general fund operating revenue from property taxes and public utility fees. Dr. Arthur Ferdinand has been encouraging residents to pay their bill on time and online.
There are no credit card charges or fees. It's free. You can visit our website at fultoncountytaxes.org, where you can pay those bills. I would also encourage taxpayers to renew their tags online or go to one of our many kiosks distributed in Kroger stores and in all of our offices. Again, There are no credit card charges or fees. It's free.
And once again, Atlanta property tax bills are past due, and everyone else in the county due date November 15th. You heard Dr. Ferdinand. There are a number of ways to pay your bill, including plenty of online options. Visit FultonCountyTaxes.org. And finally, again, stay up to date on all of the Fulton County election news. Please check out Fulton's voting app and the Georgia My Voting page. And of course, you can find all of the results on the county's website and on the Secretary of State's website. Before we go, a reminder that FGTV wants to connect with you online. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also check us out on our YouTube channel, so please do us a favor and subscribe. Well, that does it for this edition of Fulton Today. Thank you so much for watching. Join us each week for news around and about Fulton County.